He's an international superstar, the most downloaded man on the planet. And what's he do? He dances. And when he dances, just about everybody else laughs. Our April Woodard took the dancing dude out on the dance floor.
Welcome back. It is the video that's taking the internet by storm. Take a look. It's called The Evolution of Dance, and that is 30-year-old Judson Laipply wildly grooving through 5 decades of dance moves in just under 6 minutes. And get this, in just over a month, Judson's performance has been viewed by about 20 million people who have logged on to YouTube.com, which is one of our favorite websites. Judson Laipply, good morning. Welcome to today.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
What prompted you to do this?
Well, I work as a speaker, and
motivational speaker, right?
Yeah, inspirational comedy is what I like to call it.
Okay.
So, and one of the big things I talk about is how life has changed. And I wanted to do something at the end of the program to be real high energy, but to drive home the idea that things are always changing all the time.
And you know, I asked you this a moment ago, you actually knew all these dance moves. You didn't have to learn them.
Yeah, I knew most of them already. There were a few that need a little bit of tweaking here and there, but they're all dances that almost everyone has done at a wedding, on a dance floor, at high school, at prom, you know, all those places. Well, no, not one right after the other.
You never believe the response.
No.
20 million people over a month have logged on and checked this out. First of all, isn't it true you really never intended to release it to the internet?
No, what it was because of MySpace, and some students from a school in Connecticut were bugging me because they wanted to show it to their friends. So I said, all right, okay. I mean, they literally sent me an email almost every day for about a month. I said, okay, I'll put it up there, and I put it on YouTube, and then through that, it just all of a sudden on its own blossomed into this craze, so to say.
The internet creates overnight sensations. I mean, yours has been over a month now, but so what are you're clearly famous now, you're on the Today Show. What are you going to do with this newfound fame?
Well, I'm going to continue to do exactly what I was doing before, working as a speaker / comedian and hoping to reach as many people as possible. So if I can take this and use it to reach a larger number of people, then I think that it's a good thing.
I think there's 2 messages. One is, life has changed, but other, go for broke. Because when you're dancing, you're not just sort of dancing. You're not shuffling up Buffalo. You are throwing yourself
Well, and the thing that I talk about is that life is going to change, and when you figure out what changes you want to create, that's when you decide to go for it, and you create those changes in your own life.
My name is Judson, and I'm here this morning basically to do 2 things, okay? Number 1, I'm here to make you laugh, all right? Because if you know anything about laughter, people like to laugh. Now, granted, different people have different types of laughs, but that's all right. That's part of what makes people unique and cool. Some people have that high-end hyena cackle, and they're always like, ee-haw. Some people have that big, hearty laugh. They go to take a breath, and they end up snorting instead, and they're just like... Some people get to laughing real hard and fast and on a roll. They sound like a machine gun, and it's like... But everybody finishes their laugh exactly the same. How do you finish a nice, big, hearty laugh? What's everybody do? They just go, ah. What very few people know, at that exact moment in time, your brain is releasing a series of chemicals, endorphins, dopamine, serotonin, and all these other things that does multiple different things to your brain. Number 1, it actually helps rejuvenate your neurological pathways. The average child laughs between 200 and 300 times a day. The average adult laughs between 7 and 14 times a day. Somewhere along the line, as we start growing up, we stop laughing. And not only are we hurt for it physically because of those physical benefits that it has, but also emotionally and spiritually and socially. Because laughter is one of those things that draws people together, that helps create bonds between individuals. People like to laugh. And not only does it do all those wonderful things, but it also helps create the ideal mindset for the retention of information. Because that's the second thing I'm here to do today as well. I'm here to make you think. I've learned that most people will live their entire lives unhappy with the life that they're living. That most people find it easier to blame where they are and other people and external factors on the life around them instead of taking a look in the mirror and seeing who's truly responsible for the life they're living. The first thing I want to talk to you about this morning is about a power that each and every one of you possesses. It's a power that is so great, if you begin to see this power, utilize this power, and apply it to your life becomes so much easier for you. And you ask, what is that power? What could it possibly be so fantastic? Well, it's quite simple. It's your power of choice. Your power of choice is so important. Why? Because no matter how you try to justify things, no matter how you try to spin things, rationalize things, whatever, everything boils down to this. Everything in your life is there because of the choices you make. Yet we make decisions that don't work out, and we hide behind things like peer pressure so that we won't have to face the consequences. We want people to let us go easy on us at that point in time because we messed up. I'm not saying you're perfect. I'm just saying whatever choices you make, take responsibility for those and deal with the consequences because you have to recognize in your power of choice. Now, we make most of our choices with the future in mind, correct? Of course. We're all constantly thinking ahead about where we want to go, what we want to do, and that's fantastic. We should all have dreams. We should all have goals. You should all plan ahead. But you also have to remember what my second point is, and that's the idea that life is change, that things are changing around us all the time, that we live in a constant flowing world, environment of evolution, revolution, fluctuation, and change. Life is change. Say it with me once. Life is. Look at relationships for a second, okay? Middle school, you had a crush on somebody, what'd you do? Well, ladies, the first thing you had to do was to figure out if it was the person you were going to marry or not. So you played a little game called Mansion, Apartment, Shack, House, otherwise known as MASH. Sweet, I'm going to marry George. We're going to have an SUV, have 97 children, live in a hot tub. And once you figured out that this was the person you were going to marry, then what did you do? Well, you had to write him a little note that says, I love you, do you love me, sick or yes or no? Whoosh, send it on its way. People, let me tell you this much. You write a note to someone now that says, I love you, do you love me, sick or yes or no? The only thing you're going to get back is a restraining order. Matter of fact, that's what's so great about life is the fact that things are always changing. Why? Because there are two fundamental truths in the world that we live in, folks. Number one, there are things in this world that we cannot control. And two, there are things in this world that we can control. And most people run into problems in differentiating between the two. They spend too much time and energy trying to control the things they cannot, and not enough time and energy controlling the things that they can. And then people say, well, how do you control those things then? How do you figure that out, and how do you control those things? Well, the funny thing is it's basically by remembering those 2 points. Because here's the deal. Once you make. So if you remember anything at all about what I've said, I want you to remember the idea that life is change. Why? Because I believe that that is the basis, the foundation of this whole philosophy, and you have to accept that one fact to start before you can begin then making the choices in order to create changes. So I was sitting with my friends trying to figure out what I could do to really drive home that idea, to drive home the idea that life has changed, something that you would remember. And we were talking about all the things that have changed, and we talked about the games that we used to play and relationships and all that stuff. And then one of my friends was like, hey, what's that quote that you use all the time on your website, you know, on your business cards, things like that? Because I have a quote that I really, really enjoy, and it simply says this: life isn't always the party we hope for, but while we're here, we might as well dance. And basically what it means is life is not going to be perfect. We all know this. But it doesn't mean that you still can't enjoy life, that you still can't take advantage of all the wonderful things that are going on around you and all the great people you have in your life. And so then one of my friends is like, well, hey, they're like, you know what's changed a lot over the years? They're like, dancing has changed a lot over the years. They're like, if you could do a little dance routine of the last 50 years of dance moves, that'd be hysterical. But what it is, it's a thing called the evolution of dance. It's the last 50 years of popular dance moves, all in one 6-minute routine. At one point in time, each and every one of these dances was the in thing to do. It was the thing. But since life has changed, if you didn't adapt to the new dances as they came out, you would be looked upon as kind of old-fashioned and out of the loop.
The evolution of dance.